Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'll be reviewing The Killer, now streaming on Netflix. So The Killer is the newest David Fincher film that just went up on the platform, and I have to say right away, Fincher is one of my favorite directors working today, and I was very pleased to say this is again a phenomenal film from him. While it may not be a top-tier film from his catalog, I think the performances of Fassbender, the use of sound design, and the overall production quality of this film just keeps you totally enthralled. It tells the story of an assassin who is out for revenge. While this movie at its core is a revenge story, I think it's one of the best kind of hitman assassin movies that I've ever seen. And while I can see that some people may think that this film may be a little bit slow, I think it really focuses on the mundane nature and kind of the amount of precision that goes into kind of this kind of career or doing something like this. As macabre as that sounds, the movie focuses a lot on Fassbender and him trying to do everything perfectly. He's constantly saying the same mantra of staying with the plan. He has to stick to the plan. He has to never deviate, account for everything. And this movie really zones in on that. There's a lot of moments that are very quiet where you're just with him waiting and being patient. Early on in the film, he even says, this is a job for someone who isn't easily bored and who can deal with just sitting somewhere for hours on end and preparing. And I think the movie really encapsulates that in very fine detail. I think that really works into Fincher's warehouse. He's someone who always makes very fine-tuned films or any kind of media. He's made some of my favorite movies and one of my favorite shows of all time, Mindhunter, and he brings that production to this film again. It has that unique blend of very sleek and sharp cinematography and overall blocking of his shots, while adding some intense brutality. There are some almost needle drop moments in this film that work really well, particularly in the very beginning of the movie. It really sets up the stakes and tension throughout. The use of sound design is something that really stood out to me in this one because there's like I said, a lot of quiet moments where you're left in kind of lonely solitude with this character, but then the sounds of movement, him as an assassin thinking about every little pin drop, everything that's happening, you get that as an audience member. There's a lot of very small little details put into the sound design. And then on top of that, the score put together by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross really helps to elevate that tension. It's almost this like constant humming or background synth sound that slowly swells and falls with the events that are happening, and it always keeps you on edge. And then when it cuts away, it creates those even more dramatic and tension-filled moments where you're focusing fully on the events on screen. Michael Fassbender puts together a very solid performance. He plays a very stoic yet intense character who's solely focused, like I said, on the details and on his mission, and when those things deviate, you kind of see the change in his demeanor. A lot of the movie, he's very silent. He has very little character-to-character dialogue in this one. He's not openly talking a lot on screen, but there's a lot of very well-crafted internal monologue that gets you into the mind of his psyche, which creates an almost ever-expanding concept of who he is while never really telling you anything really about him. And I think that's one of the things that works and hurts the movies probably for some people, is that there is very, very surface level plot. This is this thing where you are fully engaged with the events on film, but it's never really adding anything outside of what you're seeing. It almost reminds me of those early John Wick films where you're just, this assassin is out for blood, you're enjoying it, you're watching it, it's well crafted, but you kind of hints at maybe some bigger lore, some bigger world building. As far as the supporting characters, I think they give some okay performances. No one really has a big role other than Tilda Swinton in this one, and I think their engagement was some of the best acting in the film and some of the best scenes in particular, because it drives home some of the themes about kind of the transactional nature of this and what it means to be, in this kind of space. I know this is based off of a graphic novel that I really actually want to check out after watching this. I don't know if there's more expanded into this universe. So overall, if I were to rate The Killer, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's one of the better films this year. Like I said, another great outing by David Fincher. Not one of his best films. I wouldn't say it's in his top 3 or 4 films, but that's hard to do. He has some phenomenal movies, but still an excellently made movie. Definitely worth checking out if you like Fincher, you like these kind of assassin movies. So if you check out The Killer, let me know what you thought about it. Did you like it as much as me? Did you like it less? I always love to hear people's opinions. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.